10 years from now, in April 2029, an asteroid will cruise dangerously close towards the Earth. It will be closer to us than any of our weather or communication satellites. Because of this proximity, it has been named Apophis, the god of chaos. Scary, right? While the scientists have ruled out its impact with the Earth, they say it's a near miss. But have you ever wondered that by the next century, the humans might actually be living in outer space, away from the Earth? And did you know what do astronauts today miss the most when they move out of the Earth's orbit?
Earth.
And are unable to see the blue planet. Besides the homemade fresh food, they terribly miss the nature. And rightly so, because without gravity, growing plants in outer space is extremely difficult. The seeds, they just float away. The water doesn't reach down to the roots. But I'm sure the scientists would have found a solution to this nature fix by the time our great-grandchildren start living in outer space. I still remember when I was a kid and my grandma gave me my first nature fix. I was a teenager preparing for my high school exams when she said, dewdrops. You should walk on dewdrops. It'll help you remember better. Well, that meant waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning and walking barefoot on the grass while I studied. Now that is a big ask of a teenager. How many of us have teenager kids here? Or were teenager ourselves? Yeah? So we remember, we know how it felt if someone asked a teenager to get up that early in the morning. But I did that, probably out of the fear of my exams. Now I don't know whether it was the magic of the dewdrops or the uninterrupted time, but I did score pretty well on my exams. Fast forward a few years, I was a workaholic executive like most of you and was a parent to a kid who is now a teenager. Having so much on my plate already, waking up early in the morning and connecting with nature got lost somewhere. While I was scaling career heights, I was also adding a lot of late work nights, loads of weight gain, and definitely a lot of stress. Sounds familiar, right? Yeah? Can we have a show of hands as to how many people take medications for any of the lifestyle illnesses induced by stress? Blood pressure, asthma, obesity? Come on, we are healthy folks here, right? Yeah? Yeah, I found a few hands up there. So let's hope by the end of this talk, we'll be able to help you resolve that. But what causes these lifestyle illnesses? And what causes stress? Earlier, stress used to get triggered only when we were faced with life-threatening situation, an approaching animal, right? The brain used to trigger an alarm. Stress signals were sent out, and the body went into a survival mode. The part of the brain which triggers this alarm is known as the sympathetic nervous system, or let's call it the gas pedal for now, because it actually puts our bodies into fifth gear, and we go into a fight or flight mode. But we don't face life-threatening situations daily. Ma'am, did you meet with a car accident today? Sir, any earthquake, fire explosion? You'd be amazed to know that with 21st century living, this alarm can be triggered by situations as common and mundane as seeing a crowded commuter train in the morning, your taxi not coming on time, your boss not liking your report, seeing a long queue ahead of you, somebody jumping the queue ahead of you. Now, these aren't life-threatening situations, are they? But it happens automatically. The brain triggers the alarm. Stress signals are sent out, and without your even realizing, your body has already gone into survival mode multiple times during the day, without your realizing, leading to lifestyle illnesses and stress. Is that how our brains have evolved over the last few years? Now, brains have helped humans evolve tremendously. We learned to build fires, developed communication languages, and now are sending out spaceships. One of the biggest achievements leading to this day was the Industrial Revolution. It started in 18th century and spread across the world. Slowly and gradually, we started moving towards urban civilization. In 1800s, 3% of the world population was living in urban areas. By 1900s, it was 14%. 3 guesses to what this percentage is now? Anyone, sir? Oh, we're still far away there. Yeah. Anyone else? Sorry? Closer. So we're about 54%. And United Nations predicts that by 2050, almost 2/3 of the world population will be living in urban areas. Now that's very good because more and more people will have access to technological advancements. But if we are evolving so well technologically, then why is our brain triggering the alarm at the drop of the hat? Right? I told about the gas pedal. Why is the foot always on the gas pedal? That's because during the entire 200,000 years of evolution period, we have spent 99.99% of our time living out in the nature. We do live in technologically advanced societies, but with bodies that are still adapted to natural environment. Ever seen a fish struggling when it pulled out of its natural environment water? But it goes about its way when it's put back. We are exactly the same. Our genes and DNAs haven't changed in the last few hundred years. Don't we all feel a little bit at home when we are out in nature? But then you'll say, I get my daily dose of nature, but why am I still taking the medications? Some of us go out for a morning jog. Some of us take the dog out for a walk. Guilty parents drag the teenagers away from their screen time to a park over the weekends. And super guilty office goers like us, they get dragged to a beach vacation by our families. Right? So what's the missing connection? But tell me, how often are these activities done without being chained to a gadget of any kind? It could be a fitness tracker. It could be cameras taking selfies, iPhones, iPads, iPods. I. Me. We might be physically outdoors, but are completely disconnected from the natural world. So how do we connect better with nature and take full benefits of it? Okay, before we discuss that, do we know which is the happiest country in the world? Sorry? No, that's still far behind. It's Finland. One of the main contributors to their happiness is the proximity to greenery. Now, Dr. Ghazala talked about Haryana being just 3%, India on an average being 12 to 19%. Singapore, by the way, has 30% of its land area covered with forest or natural greenery. In Finland, 74% of their land area is covered with forest. The passion for nature for all these Scandinavian countries comes from a concept called friluftsliv. Translated literally, it means open air living. It is so ingrained in their culture that natives say that it strengthens their natural and physical abilities. It's a big part of their lives to be able to see the greenery, the forest. It could be a lunchtime walk in the forest, going to work by bike, meeting with friends at a lakeside sauna, or simply relaxing at a mountainside hut. It is also closely related to allemansrätten, or their right to roam, which allows people there to practically camp anywhere out in the nature, as long as they are respectful to the surrounding area, wildlife, and locals. I know we are mentally probably preparing a future trip to Finland soon, but then again, we cannot just pack our bags and move to Finland permanently just to be happy, right? So what are the other ways? Surprisingly, studying the impact nature has on humans is a fairly new idea. Scientific tests were developed only a few decades ago to measure the effectiveness of nature. And it all started in Japan, which had one of the world's highest suicide rates, and they wanted to find a formula to happiness. They did a number of experiments on thousands of subjects, and they came out with fantastic studies about Shinrin-yoku, or the art of forest bathing. It is not merely walking into a forest. The studies revealed that by being in nature, fully immersing yourself using all your 5 senses, it helps reduce stress by 53%. It can normalize your blood pressure levels by 5 to 7 points or even higher. It helps people suffering with PTSD become more calm. It makes you more creative. And these effects don't last for just 3 to 5 days, but up to as long as 1 month after the forest therapy session. Nature helps apply the brakes to the gas pedal. Imagine a world without medicines, where we are fully immersing ourselves in nature using the 5 senses. But let's see, how do we do that? Use your ears. Natural sounds of wind, water, and birds, they resonate with our internal body rhythms. They connect with the alpha brain waves, which boosts creativity. It reduces depression and relaxes the mind. Throughout evolution, the sounds of bird is so ingrained in our systems that we associate it with safety and assurance. Birds are singing. It's the start of the new day. Everything is going to be fine. So much so that BBC broadcasts daily 90 seconds of bird song. British Petroleum plays bird song in the bathrooms because our brains associate it with freshness. Use your nose. Remember the smell of earth after it has rained? Fantastic, right? It's because of a soil bacteria called geosmin. We are so alert to this rich scent that we can smell as little as 7 drops of it in a large swimming pool. It probably helped our thirsty ancestors when they were looking for a source of water. Geosmin is the smell of survival. No wonder we are at ease when we smell it, right? It is antiviral and it helps in cancer. And you'd be surprised to know that it is a main ingredient in many of the antibiotics that we have today. Use your eyes. Now do this experiment yourself when you are out next time. Look at a green image on your phone screens and then look at a natural element live. Studies show that when we look at natural elements, our eyes have a soft and gentle focus, and we go into a more reflective state of mind. Einstein said, look deep into nature, and then you'll understand everything better. When we consciously look into nature and its awe-inspiring designs, like the different shape of leaves, the ruggedness of the bark, the girth of the tree trunk, the roots of years-old trees, it not only fills us with wonder, but also with humility and gives us a more outward perspective. There's a very interesting real-time awe-inducing study that I'd like to share. Now, a group of people was taken to a beautiful grove of tall trees, asking them to look up for a minute. Another group was asked to look up at a tall science building. In both settings, a lab assistant accidentally dropped a handful of pens. Even after just 1 minute of awe, the tree gazers were more helpful, picking up more pens on an average than their counterparts. Nature makes us a kinder and nicer human beings. Studies have also showed that patients in hospital rooms with windows overlooking greenery, they recover faster and they require less painkillers than the patients whose windows overlook concrete buildings. Haven't we all read Anton Chekhov's The Last Leaf? Most of what I've spoken about today has already been taught to us for generations by our parents, poets, philosophers, and scientists. I and this book, we were simply reminding you about it. So if you want to be more empathetic, more kind, more healthier, more creative, then experience nature the new way. The next time you go out, leave your gadgets and earphones behind. Feel that wind. Listen to the sound of birds and the leaves rustling in the air. Touch the underside of the leaves. Take off your shoes and walk and just wriggle your toes in the dewdrops and gaze at the canopy of trees. You never know, you will realize that true money does grow on trees. Thank you.